Condos in Calgary are in a lot of demand right now, and it is very important to realize what's going on in this market. So to give you a quick glimpse, over the last 30 days, 280 units sold under ask price, 46 units sold at ask price, as well as 110 units selling over ask price. Between the three slides there's a lot to dive into. There is a lot of units that do sell under ask price, and some of the units are selling relatively fast, just with good, strong offers. Not so many units are selling at ask price, and quite a few units, 110, are selling over ask price. Now, a couple of things that I want to note here is just how crazy the market is. If you look at lines 9, 12, 11, 16, 21, 26, 28, and 29, you can see that they went from active to sold, meaning that they were either unconditional or the listing agent did not mark it as pending and they just wrote it in the private remarks. Condos at like lines 9, 12, 3, 28 and 29 all sold within 2 to 5 days, which probably more or less was an unconditional offer, which is not something that we're used to seeing here in Calgary. A lot of people from Ontario are quite used to that, but placing an unconditional offer on a condominium is quite a big risk, and we could talk about that in another video. My name's Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. If you're looking at getting into the market, diving into these numbers are so important. It's really good to understand what's going on in the real estate market before you make any crazy decisions. So if you want to have that conversation, the link is in the description. Let's get into this. So condo apartments in Calgary have reached $324,000. They're up $2,600 from last month and up $46,000 from last year. Almost 19% year-over-year growth for the condo apartment here in Calgary. Now, let's remember that there's attributes involved with these benchmark prices. It is a 2-bedroom, 2 full bath, 905 square feet. It has underground parking, and it was built in 2005. So when you see the benchmark attributes, it's really important to when you see the benchmark price, it's really important to put the attributes over top of that price to get the full picture. So let's figure out what the Calgary Real Estate Board has written about condos in Calgary. Apartment style properties continue to see the most significant gain in sales activity, rising to 488 sales in January, a year-over-year increase of 54%. This was possible thanks to the growth in new listings. However, the gains in new listings did little to supply levels. With 682 units, inventories were 40% below long-term trends. Tight market conditions continue to contribute to further price gains. In January, the unadjusted benchmark price reached $324,000, nearly 1% higher than last month and 19% than last January. Prices rose across all districts, with the largest gains occurring in most affordable districts in Northeast and East Calgary. Now, it's going to be a very busy year for condos all throughout 2024. This chart here is a visual graph of what happened over the last 12 months. You can see that the red bar is the price, the blue bar is the inventory, and the green bar is the sales. So it's really nice to kind of have a visualization. Clearly the price is continuing to increase all around the city, and this is very evident so on this graph here. So you can see that the sales and the inventory kind of slowed down and dropped going into the holiday season, which is very common. Now, one of the bigger things that you maybe want to look at here is just comparing it to last year. Look at the sales to inventory gap, right? And then you look at January 2024, look how tight that gap is. It's about as tight as it was maybe in May 2023 or August 2023. It's a very tight market, and we'll kind of dive into a little bit more of the details of why that is. So this is the same style of information, just in a written format. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time here. Some of the biggest things that I've noticed is the days on market is at 35. It is actually increased from December from 34 to 35, but that will quickly decrease as the spring demand sets in. The benchmark price is $324. The median price, actually first time it's ever hit $308,000. So the median price is if you have 600 sales with one at 100,000 and one at 1 million, the median price, would be the exact in the middle. So that's that. The average price is basically taking all of those numbers and dividing it by the number of sales, and that's how the median or the average price is determined. So you can see that the average price actually had a crazy shoot up. If you actually look at the average price here at $337,000, and then you look at the last 4 months of last year, it was hovering around that $315,000. Now all of a sudden we're getting this higher average, which is a clear indicator that the benchmark price is most likely going to increase as well. And again, median price first time hitting $300,000. So let's dive into it here. Now, this is a really cool chart because this showcases the total sales volume. So this is just year to date this year versus last year. Obviously, there's only 1 month, so it's not the most most detailed information. But just looking at that 1 month, we had a 54% increase in sales going from 317 to 488, but we had an 82% increase in sales volume. We went from 90 million to 164 million, pretty wild. It's really, really good to see the listings tick up from 545 to 638, 17% increase. Inventories did drop, which we read about. Months of supplies had a dramatic drop going from 2.44 to 1.40, indicating a very strong seller's market. Sales to new listing ratio is 76% up from last year. The sales to list price is at 99%, so a lot of people are getting what they're asking for. Days on market dropped dramatically, and we just talked on the price points, so we'll continue on. Now, this is just again a visualization of where we have been over the last 5 years. So this is just a months of inventory or supply. Obviously, we understand that there is a very limited amount of supply in the market. So with that being said, this is a chart that breaks it down into quadrants. So we're only going to concentrate on apartments here. So you can see that the city center has the most amount of inventory, which is 2 months. It's obviously going to have the most amount of inventory because it's the largest quadrant, and a lot of condos are in the city center. You can see it followed by Northwest, which is under a month and a half, which is still very much a seller's market, with the tightest conditions being in South, Southeast, and West Calgary. They're all under 1 month of supply. So this is just a very quick indicator to see who has the tightest conditions and who doesn't. So when we kind of overlap that with the benchmark price, we start to gain a picture of how much those quadrants are and how busy they are. Now, this is a really good visual to showcase, what's kind of happening in that community and how much these prices are. You can see that West and Southeast have roughly around the same benchmark price, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Let's look at the benchmark attributes of the two quadrants. Now, West Calgary, if you look at the attributes here, is a 2-bed, 2 full bath, 974 square foot, built in 2003. And when you look at the Southeast, it's a 2-bed, 2 bath, 899. So it's a little bit smaller, but it was built in 2014. So even if the benchmark prices are the same, if you actually put the attributes from Southeast and West, the price in West is going to be more expensive because you're looking at an 11-year newer building in Southeast versus West. So I hope that makes sense. Now, this is a price growth chart. This is again just a visualization to showcase what's going on in those quadrants. You can see, like the written description said, the eastern quadrant as well as the northeastern quadrant are seeing the biggest price growths, where the city center and the west are still seeing 18% increase, but it's not as much as those affordable quadrants. So if you're curious about what your apartment is worth in today's market, go ahead. The link is in the description. This is an AI software, and it spits out an instantaneous home evaluation. It is me and only me that looks at it. Even if you're just curious about what your home is worth, that's totally fair. Go ahead and put it in. It's actually quite good with apartments because it typically just takes recent sales in the building and it quickly spits out a fairly accurate evaluation. So pretty cool stuff there. If you're interested, go ahead and plug that in. So this is the microeconomic breakdown. Now, this is what a lot of people come here for. This is a very good indicator of what's going on in each individual quadrant. So you can see the sales and new listings, the sales to new listing ratio. We've got a couple South and Southeast seeing 100 and 101% sales to new listing ratios. So obviously their inventories are going to fall because they had more sales than they did new listings. The months of supply, which we chatted about, you can see there's about 3 quadrants here that have under 1 month of supply, which is a super hot seller's market. The benchmark prices for those individual quadrants, the year over year, and then the month over month. So every single quadrant in Calgary saw an increase from last month. So when I reveal this now, you can see that even the city center, more or less a flat line, saw a $300 increase. But when you look at places like Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, and East, they all saw over $5,000 increase in 1 month, meaning that clearly there's demand in those markets. So where is the market going to go? I would put a lot of money down to say that the condo market is going to increase at a pretty dramatic rate in 2014. This is a very clear indicator to me that condos are in high demand and people are willing to pay over ask price for good properties in good neighborhoods. So if you have any questions, go ahead, book a call with me. The Zoom link is in the description. Thank you very much for everyone who watches these things. I'm always down for feedback. If you have any questions, just put it in the comments and I'll make sure to reply to them when I can. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.